103.2 Preston FM.
Your community, your radio.
And it's Feixia, who is director of UCLAN's Confucius Institute. So a very good afternoon and lovely to meet.
Good afternoon, Huey.
And we were just saying off air, we were talking just a moment ago about the population, the Chinese population when it comes to students in Preston. And it is the largest foreign student population represented here, isn't it?
It is. And I think probably, I don't know the exact figure this year, but usually it's about 1,000 students coming from China and Hong Kong studying on campus. And in addition to that, we also have hundreds of Chinese students registered on UCLAN program. And we are also starting a new UCLAN campus in China as well, in our partner university in Hebei, which is about 1 hour by the bullet train from Beijing, the capital.
And what is it about Preston? I mean, what are the most popular studies here at UCLAN for Chinese students?
I think the most popular program tend to be business related, business management, this type of a program. But increasingly, there are more students choosing science, and art and design is becoming more and more popular now.
Art and design?
Yes, because UCLAN's particularly fashion design is very famous. So we are promoting our design courses in China. And the joint campus, I was talking about the UCLAN campus in China, in Hebei, is actually focusing on journalism and art and design.
And art and design, I mean, is art and design very popular in China?
It's getting increasingly so, because China has to shift its economy from a heavily manufacturing, labor-intensive industry towards a more creative and value-added industry. So I think we've always been known as for products to be made in China, but the government and a lot of the people in the industry wanted to shift it to designed in China. So there's a lot of Western designers coming to work with Chinese designers, and there are also many Chinese designers are designing for the Western market.
Fascinating. Mm-hmm. And students who maybe come to UCLAN to study journalism,
yes.
I mean, is that still a restricted practice in China?
No. I think journalism is actually very popular as well, and it's not just for major big newspapers, but also smaller newspapers and online magazines, etc. So that the whole range of journalism is much broader now. And it does require a lot of people to work there.
Yes, I'm sure. And of course, one thing that people may not think about when we talk about the students from China here in Preston is, of course, the impact it has on the local economy.
Yes, certainly. And I think the Chinese students, if you think about such a large body of Chinese students, they will have to live in Preston, they rent houses, they have to spend their money here. And they also, particularly Chinese tourists, are most famous for buying lots of designer goods. So I mean, even shops like Clark's or body shops, they really notice the difference. And a certain peak time during the summer, when the large number of Chinese students arrive on campus, or when they leave, then the business sort of like daily or weekly intake makes a big difference. They tend to spend a lot of money. I mean, not every Chinese student is loaded, but many of them, because the whole family is behind them, usually they are the single child in the family. So all the parents, grandparents, and aunties, uncles, they all want to contribute towards the single child's education. So they give the child a lot of support. So when they come abroad, so they could have they shouldn't be burdened by financial worries. They want them to be able to focusing on their study.
So is studying at UCLAN or studying abroad, I mean, also very important in the future of the Chinese economy?
Certainly. And I think what we want is the global citizens. We want people to be able to be to be more mobile between different economies, different countries, because as you know, China is the second largest economy in the world after the US. But in the particularly we're talking about in England, in Britain, your management expertise and your design, your science, and the whole education is so much is highly regarded in China. So when the Chinese students have the opportunity to come and do a degree abroad, many of them will choose to come to England. And for UCLan, I think we are very lucky. UCLan is a very inclusive university, and UCLan has been doing its links within China since late 80s and early 90s, so it's well established in the Chinese market. And plus Preston, some people don't like it, but I love Preston in the sense it's so small, it's very friendly. And it's very accessible to whatever things you want to do. Many things you can just within walking distance. And then I always tell people the best thing about Preston is easy to get out of, in the sense because of it's so well connected by rail, by motorway, and etc. So you're not stuck in a city, because you can go to London. Yes, there are a lot of cultural activities, but unless you have the money, those things are beyond you. The transportation cost is such, and the rent is so high, you don't really have a lot of resources left to go and enjoy those things. So I think in Preston, it's got the best of both worlds. It's easy to go and access many other things outside of Preston, but Preston is 10-15 minutes drive, and you're in the countryside.
Yes,
and it's just lovely. Yeah,
and the coast and the Lake District, and of course other big cities nearby. So you're right, it is easy to get out of, and I think we're ideally situated. Maybe we sometimes take that for granted where we are.
And
so, sorry. Yes. So do a lot of the students then who come to UCLan, do they become involved with the Confucius Institute?
They certainly do, yeah. I think the Confucius Institute's remit is to promote Chinese language and culture in the region. That includes the university, the local schools and colleges, and also in the cities. We've done many events. For example, there is one coming up tomorrow. It's in Cottam Sports Arena, which is part of UCLan's sports facility. We are having about 80 children and staff to be at the sports center. So there will be a lion dance, there will be tree planting, they can fly kites, hopefully the weather stays good, and Chinese costumes, and they will play jianzi. There is a whole, and taiji, martial art as well. And I think this opens a whole new world, a new experience to school children. And in addition to that, on Friday, we are hosting a talk. We invited the senior archivist Vicky Kane to give a talk about at the Lancashire Archives at 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon, 2 to 3. There is a very famous Lancashire diplomat that was based in China about just over 100 years ago. That time of China, it was very turbulent. There was a lot of changes, and he was placed there. He is a very enthusiastic letter writer. He has written loads and loads of letters to his mother and to his father, but the two styles and the contents to both parents are very different. And luckily, Lancashire Archives has got the collection of his letters, and Vicky, our senior archivist, will be given a talk about a British diplomat based in China over 100 years ago, and how it's being perceived and how he represents China to his parents. I think it's very, very valuable historical evidence. So that's a talk on Friday afternoon, 2 to 3 in Lancashire Archives. And it's just near the train station, and it's a public event. Anybody can go and turn up and request entry to the talk. And then on Saturday, it's part of the Preston Pride. We've invited one of my former colleagues, Mr. Mac McCarthy. Mac is going to talk about Chinese gay cinema, because the whole LGBT issue is also being widely discussed now. I mean, some people still find it difficult to accept, but I think the whole society on the whole is a lot more accepting. It's just people are having different ways of dealing with the issues, and art is a way of representing the LGBT issue in China.
So you do mean that within China, people find it difficult to accept, but there is more acceptance than there used to be.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be treated as sort of like some sort of mental disease, and it's require medical treatments, or you'll be branded as a criminal if you were found to involved in this type of behavior. But now people tend to they are more open. They don't orchestrate you. But then sometimes they, particularly from parents' point of view, the whole focus is for the children to produce offspring, so to continue the genes.
Yes,
and then if you find your child is gay or lesbian, then that it's for the parents or grandparents, it's difficult to accept, because it means that they can't have grandchildren, and so there are different ways of dealing with it. But from certainly from cinema, from art's point of view, it's being depicted. And
that is taking place Saturday the 27th, and I think it's at the...
It's about 2:30.
That's right, yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm here, otherwise I would have gone... That's at the Community History Library, first floor Harris Library.
Yes.
Again, people can go along to that, and there'll be a talk, interesting and entertaining overview of sexuality and gay cinema in China.
Yeah, and there will be film clips as well.
From Chinese cinema.
Yes, and Mac is a very good speaker, and I think he'll be doing the talk in conjunction with one of his students. So I think that would be interesting.
And the one on Friday that Vicky McCann is doing, they are letters that the diplomat actually wrote whilst he was in China, serving in China.
Yes.
And when you say that there was a very different content in the letters to his mother and his father, is that from a male perspective, do you mean?
I think so. I think I think we all related to our parents in different ways. I think in his letter, from what I could remember from discussion with Vicky, is he tends to talk about more grander political, historical issues with his father, while with his mother is more like talking about the social life. It's more gossipy, you can say, that we did this, we saw that type of thing. But together, it's amazing the picture he represented of China to his parents, and I think it's valuable resources for us.
Fascinating. And on Sunday the 28th, there's events at the Flag Market, I understand.
Yes. It coincides with the Run Preston. So from 12 to 4 hours will be in front of the Harris Museum in the Flag Market. So there will be a whole range of events. We are hoping to, there will be certainly Tai Chi and martial arts. So if anybody wants to find out the Chinese way of keeping fit, then come and join us. We were also hoping to get a lion dance there, but we're still trying to confirm some details. And there will be some dance, there will be some singing, there will also be calligraphy. And normally we think of calligraphy, you write with a pen, but this one you actually write with a big brush, and the brush is the same size as a broomstick you use to brush the floor, and you can just write with paper on the Flag Market, provided the weather holds for us. And also I love Chinese tea, so I would like to share my passion of Chinese tea with the Preston people. So I'll be serving out different types of Chinese tea. Because I know the British people like tea, but we drink it very differently.
How do you drink it?
I don't put milk or sugar in it. And also, I tend to prefer loose tea leaves, because once you grind it into smaller pieces and put into a tea bag, I can't tell the tea leaves. I like to be able to appreciate the different color, different sizes of the tea leaves, both when it's dry and after the infusion, because you can tell a lot about the type of tea, the manufacturing process, and the quality of the tea as well.
And which is the province in China that produces the most tea?
There are two places actually across China. Well, I would say three major types of tea. One is green tea. Is usually we associate it with Longjing green tea, which is near Shanghai in Hangzhou. That is just green tea. Green tea is a type of tea that's not been oxidized, and so fresh tea leaves that it's produced is dried in such a way that it's not been allowed to oxidize, so it's very fresh, but it tends to be slightly bitter depending on how you make it. And then the second part of the second region is Fujian province. They make a lot of oolong tea, and oolong tea is the type of tea that are in between green tea and black tea, so it's been semi-oxidized, and so that it's got the delicacy of the green tea without the bitterness, but it's got a much stronger tea flavor. The third type of tea is what we call the black tea. It tends to be produced in Yunnan province, which is near Tibet. And that type of tea, the tea leaves is much bigger and it's been allowed to fully oxidize. So the tea, when you infuse it, the tea comes out to be dark, sort of dark brown, reddish color. Actually, the word in Chinese is red tea rather than black tea. It's red tea, 红茶. And if you are interested, come on Sunday afternoon and I'll make you different types of tea. I mean, there are white tea, there are yellow tea, and the range is, and also different type of teas. The tea leaves makes a difference as well. So,
well, apart from tea, I was looking on Facebook this morning, and I saw some photographs of your cookery skills.
Yes.
And I think coming up soon, I think is it October, 4th of October, Chinese veg.
Yeah, Chinese vegetarian cooking.
Yes.
Because we know China is very famous for its food. Chinese cuisine is known to all over the world. But most people don't tend to associate vegetarian food with Chinese cuisine. But actually, China has got a very, very long tradition of vegetarian cooking, particularly in the monasteries. All the followers of Buddhism, they can't eat meat. So they've got many different ways of seasoning their food. They use very different ingredients. So I think on our it's a Chinese vegetarian cookery course. On our course, we'll be introducing the most common vegetarian ingredients in China and how to cook it. And come and sign up for our course. You can get a free apron and a free wok as well. We teach you how to season the wok. We'll make food. And I'm working with our chef at Yuklan Catering, Eat at Yuklan, and Denise. Denise has been working at Yuklan as a chef for more than 10 years, and she will be teaching us what dishes to cook and how to cook them. And at the same time, I will be cooking different Chinese vegetarian dishes for the participants to sample. So you get to sample a whole wide range of food, different textures, different color.
So, as a vegetarian, what are the most popular vegetarian meals then?
I think tofu or bean curd is the most common ingredient because that is very high in protein, so that it replaces the protein in meat quite well. And with tofu, we got the soft ones, firmer ones, very firm ones, dried ones, and it's a whole range of things. Also, we use mushroom a lot.
Yes.
And so we have the Chinese mushroom, dried up ones. You had to rehydrate it before you could use it.
Are they the very large ones?
Very large ones.
Yes. I
it's got a lovely aroma.
Yes, yeah. I know. Yeah.
And then there will be the straw mushrooms. They tend to come in a tin. You can buy in supermarket. And actually, what I've planned for the part that I will be cooking will be a mixed mushroom soup as a starter. So.
Sounds delicious.
Yes, yeah. And we also have wood ears. It's a type of fungus that grow on trees, and they have the dark ones and we have the white ones. So I'll be making a sweet dish at the end using the lotus seed, white fungus, date, and rock sugar.
So that's quite a sweet taste,
yes,
is it?
Yes.
Quite a nice sweet taste.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's taking place on the 4th of October?
Yes. Sign up. Just follow the link on the website and sign up for the course.
I was just going to say, for our listeners, I'm sure we've whet their appetite with, either tomorrow or the talk at Bow Lane on Friday or the cinema experience on Saturday, where is the best place for listeners to go to find out all about the events?
I think it's if you look at our website, just Google Ukraine Confucius Institute, and you can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, and or just come up to our office, which is in Adelphi Building, Room 111. And I think I must also not to forget about we've got another free event on the 2nd of October, starting at there's a performance troupe coming from China, so there will be a lot of beautiful folk dancing with Chinese music and martial art, and that's in Media Factory, Room 007. And there is the performance is from 7 to 8:30, and I think the mayor and the mayoress are coming to open the event. We also provide a free Chinese finger buffet that starts at 5:30 in Media Factory's cafe. So you need to come and request a free ticket from us. You can ring at 01772 894242 or follow us on Twitter or Facebook and request your free ticket.
It sounds very much like the Confucius Institute never sleeps with all these events that are happening.
The reason we have so many events packed in these 2 weeks is because the Global Confucius Institute has been in place for 10 years. So on Saturday is the 10th birthday, the 10th anniversary of the Global Confucius Institute. The Ukraine one we are now in our 7th year. So we have done a lot, and I think your listeners, many of them might have seen our Chinese kites. They might have watched our performance in the Charter Theatre or been to any of the events in the the Harris Museum or Lancashire Museum. So there are lots of things. And globally, there are almost 500 Confucius Institute across the world.
Well, can I thank you for coming in and telling us about the events? I'm sure we shall have our listeners having a look online at the various events coming up. And it's been lovely to meet you this afternoon, and look forward to our next encounter.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Sunday nights from 9. Join Steve Franklin live for Preston FM's weekly request show.
Could I have some Pink Floyd for my mum?
Gino by Dixie's Midnight Runners.
Can I request 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton, please?
What a way to make a living.
Lavender by Marillion.
Sunday nights from 9. 103.2 Preston FM. The weekend stops here.